Hello again, it's Wayne DeFrancesco. I want you to visit my website and look for instructional pieces that we're going to be getting to here pretty soon. As you can see by the swings in front of you, we've got Lee Westwood playing great golf this year. Great player. Very interesting. I'd love to talk to him about his career, as he went through a period of time where he was the #1 player in Europe and then was suddenly not very good for a while, a good 2 or 3 years. I think he fell off the map, and then after searching through some teaching pros, decided to go back to, I'm pretty sure he went back to his old coach and just started playing golf, and he started doing way better again. So let's take a look. We got lucky and got a nice fixed camera swing here on number 12 at Augusta, where he was leading the tournament here. So, and he happened to conveniently set up perfectly in line with the hands. So this is a good camera angle, and we can certainly keep an eye on this swing very nicely here. So as he starts back, you'll see the club lift right up on the plane, slightly above. So the hands are going out slightly away from the body. If you look at the space between his hands and his leg, that's fairly close, and a lot of guys who set up close to their bodies like that will take the club just a hair away from them in order to keep the club from running into their legs. So a little bit above, but the left arm hugs the chest fairly well here. So when you look at the elevation change, he's going from 57 here to 65, so that's pretty standard. 8. Now the interesting thing about Westwood here, as he gets to the top, is the way he really grinds it in and stays connected. So when you look at this top position, he's only going to be up 1 from 65 to 66, and that indicates that the hands are going to stay a little bit lower over the shoulder there. And then if you look at that right forearm angle here, that is fairly acute when you compare it to most guys. Cabrera's got his arm way out there too, so you've got a lot of elbow width at the top away from the body. And as I've kind of shown in a bunch of videos, you see that part of the action here is to compress into the waist. So you'll see the head drop, and he's compressing into the ground. Now in the forward swing, with all of that right arm bend, you would think that when he comes down that he would be missing the shaft plane by quite a bit high, but by the time he gets down toward impact, you can see how nicely that right forearm is aiming down at the ball. And again, you can see the drop in the head. So you've got the double drop that you see in a lot of good players, especially if you watch the videos that I've done. You'll see in Tiger and Hogan and quite a few others. So nice leg movement. You see the right leg back, the left leg forward, about even. Now we'll see it in a longer swing. He has some interesting things with his right leg, in that in the forward swing he'll straighten it up. But if you look at the nature of the knee movement, you'll see that left knee retracts immediately in transition. So while the left toe will pop into the ground a little bit, the hips are pulling around and retracting. Now, as far as what the hips are doing from right to left, if you look at where he starts, now this swing is not angled quite correctly, but watch the large amount of push. And again, it's one of the common factors amongst good players, is that lateral slide. I was watching a little Trevino video where he described his motion as a slide twist or a slide turn, and he's exactly right. That's what everybody does, is they push from the inside of the right foot. I like to consider it as a 45-degree drive to the left toward the heel. I think the initial movement appears to be down into the front of the left foot simply because of the dynamics of the rotation backwards and then reversing direction. But to me, that right leg is driving inward, which you can see by that footwork there, how the foot comes inward. And as we go through this swing, you can see why he's such a great ball striker. Look at that shaft, cover that shaft plane through the ball and go right around. And his hips, you can see him right back in the box. Now, Westwood likes to stand up. He's got a ton of bend here. He's got a ton of side bend. And again, good players, when they compress and lower into the ground, what they're doing is creating a really deep angle here. If you look, Tiger's got about the same angle. So that allows the arms to function more vertically against the chest, meaning that the shaft is much less likely to look like it's going to be stuck when it's coming down, because the spine is angled so deep that way. And then once he finishes up, you see how that club is coming out of the middle of his left arm there. That's pretty deep. He won't stay there. He likes to stand up a little bit. It's probably healthy not to stay bent sideways so much, but his hips will be slightly to the right of the box. Now, the interesting thing that you can see in his movement here that's a lot different from some of the players that I've been noting is his head. His eyes really stay back and focus behind the ball. Now, the consequence of that, and something that you'll see in his swing, is this bend in the left arm. It's almost impossible to move the right side of the chest as much as is needed to straighten that left arm out, because the neck is resisting that rotational movement. So the fact that he can compress the ball and lean the shaft as far forward as he does is pretty amazing, given that his head and neck are so back and down and resisting. So you can see the only time that head comes up is when the right shoulder actually just runs into it and moves it up. So here we're going to take a look at, well, this swing he didn't like. He hit this one like over the trees over to the left. But here you can kind of get a look at that right leg action. I think I had a better one than that. There's another side view. So there you can see that twist. You can see the lat be pulled. Again, what that driving motion over here does is it engages all the muscles in the left side, so the right side is pushing over and the left side gets caught and pulled and twisted. Now, here's a perfect example of that left elbow, and if you take a look at where his head is there, you can pretty much see why that occurs. So if he was releasing his eyes, he could stretch both his arms out. Now he probably wouldn't care to do that. He hits the ball pretty damn good anyway. So, but that's just an interesting thing. I teach a few people who keep their heads down too long, and you get that left arm bend, and when I can get them to rotate their eyes faster through the shot, we'll get some arm extension out of it. But anyway, great golf swing, consistent with other good players in that it's down and down, legs driving inward in 45. Very nice. Expect him to continue to play well.